Creative Training Solutions: How to Be a More Effective Communicator by Keitha Rusmir states, an effective communicator starts by collecting information and then, through continued dialogue, develop understanding and ultimately gain insight, which they use to make better decisions and to guide their actions. I think to be a successful communicator and to be open with different cultural beliefs, we need to be open. We need to be forthcoming with different cultures, and we also need to be aware. I think if we were to take time to learn different cultures, then we would be aware of that and we would know what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. We would know what boundaries and what boundaries we shouldn't cross when speaking or communicating with people with different cultures. Also, we need to be honest, yet we don't need to be harsh when coming to someone with a different culture. So, for example, I work in a spa. I'm an esthetician, so I work with very, very many different cultures. I also work with people that are aged from 12 all the way to, I think my oldest client is about 80 years old. So that right there, just that age difference goes to show you their different beliefs and how they approach things. I also have clients that are Hispanic, African American, Middle Eastern, Asian, very many different religions. So I think I have a more understanding of how to approach people with different cultures because I was almost forced to in my job. Didn't know that really when I started going to school for it, but once in the field, you realize you meet a lot of different people. And I think the best way when approaching someone, like I stated before, is having a little bit of an understanding of their culture. If you always lead the conversation in a positive way that's beneficial to you and the other person, I think then that maybe it will turn out being a conversation with no conflict. I think if you also engage in the conversation with a goal in mind, if you don't just start the conversation openly, not knowing where it's going, like the statement that I said before, if you gain insight through the dialogue as it's going, then you can kind of lead the conversation in the right direction. But you also, number one, I believe, is to be open. You cannot judge others because of their cultural beliefs. You never want to offend somebody. I think that's just wrong. For example, if you have a Middle Eastern woman, you see, let's say two. Okay, the first one is completely covered from head to toe. They are only showing their face. So in my mind, I also, from what I understand, that is going to be someone that has a huge, huge belief in the Muslim culture. Okay, if I see a different woman that's of a Middle Eastern ascent, then I also can see that if they're wearing jeans and a t-shirt, that then they probably are believing in that Muslim culture, but maybe they're not so strongly about it. So then seeing those, I also shouldn't make the assumption of that, if that makes sense. I think that I should still approach those two women in the same manner because I can't just assume things. So I would also want to start that conversation and communicate with them in the same way, just by being polite, being non-judgmental, and being honest, and just leading that conversation in a positive way. I think if all communication is led in that manner, that is beneficial to you and the other person, if we are all respectful of each other, and if we're aware and always trying to learn about other people's cultures, then I think that there should never be any communication between different cultures, or you should never be a closed-minded communicator in that sense either, if we just remain meaningful to our thoughts, our words, and our actions. Thanks for listening.